Hey, my name is Lizzie Smiley, and I absolutely love helping people connect with their calling and all the tools they need to kick roadblocks and excuses right out the door so they can cultivate the life they dream about. If you want to launch, grow, pivot, or scale your Etsy shop, or you've always wanted to develop the mindset and skills to run your own business, then I'm your girl. I've had that entrepreneurial spirit going strong since my very first lemonade stand, and now I'm a work-at-home mama with multiple online companies and a full-time Etsy shop, all while being present with my kids for the everyday chaos and most important milestones. On this podcast, we'll talk about all things business, mindset, Etsy, creativity, dazzling our customers, and so much more. There's plenty of room at this table for you, so scooch on in and let's go. I'm holding nothing back. Welcome to How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. I'm so glad you're here. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy podcast. We're doing an FAQ episode, which I know is a favorite for so many of you. And honestly, we have some amazing questions today, things we've never talked about before. So thank you to everybody who sent an FAQ for this week's episode. And as we get started, I want to tell you a bit of a story, a background story. When I was selling my signs, my wood signs is where I started on Etsy. The first thing I needed to do was to figure out demand, okay? Because I really struggled in the first few months making sales. It took me about 6 months to get really going on Etsy, and there was a lot I didn't know. So I learned how to research and make database decisions for what signs to actually create. I learned how to do much better product photography. I leveled up my listings so they looked more professional and answered the common shopper questions. That was a really big one, was actually leveling up the listing. I learned how to find and use high demand and low competition keywords, to really level up my SEO, and that started to get me more views. And so once I had those things in place, I started getting seen. I started converting my shoppers into buyers, and I was getting sales organically. And another tip that I like to throw in is this really helped me. I added more than one price point on my listings using the variations feature. And so having the lower price point for my item, it actually got more shoppers to see me because as they filtered, they would use the filter of lowest to highest price. And then I would show up higher in the search results because of that, because of the option that I had. And then usually people ended up buying a higher tiered price item because those were the dimensions or the materials that they really wanted. That actually really helped me. But once I was getting those organic sales regularly, I kept adding new listings, so I stayed relevant. I'm active in the algorithm, and my shop went full time pretty quickly from there to from $5,000 to $6,000 a month, from making $25 a month maybe. And so the reason I'm saying this is because after that, I turned on Etsy ads to really add fuel to the fire. And I'm mentioning this because a lot of you need to consider this. And I have a free Etsy ads course for you, totally free. It's by Hannah Gardner, who's the best in the business at teaching Etsy ads. I get them. I've done really well with them, but she is a wizard. The way that she can talk about this and teach it is better than anything I've seen. So I want you to take advantage of this free course if you want to learn more. But it was turning on Etsy ads to my products that were already selling well, and it poured gasoline on the fire of my business, and it drove my sales from $5,000 to $6,000 a month up to $8,000 to $13,000 months, just based on maybe the season. Christmas was definitely more the 13,000, but it significantly changed my bottom line. And I didn't do anything else new. I was just doing what was getting me sales organically and then turned on the ads. And I became way more visible. Etsy was putting my listings up higher in the ads and the search results, or even the top of page one. And so when your product gets seen first and or seen multiple times, because the ads will position you so they see you more than once on the page, it does something psychologically to the shopper to give it more relevance and to get them more likely to buy it. So ads, they really can change the game for the right shop if you have a proven product. I use them in every shop, in print on demand, in digital products, in physical products. I always use them, and I think that everyone should learn how to use them effectively. Or you're leaving money on the table. I just wish I had turned them on sooner. It would have helped me a lot once I had proof of concept. So the key is get your product selling first, figure that part out, because the organic marketplace will do a ton for you. Then learn real ad strategy, not just whatever you feel like, but learn it. And I honestly can't believe that Hannah just gives this away, because her level of strategy, she could charge thousands of dollars for it. So grab it. Totally free course. It'll be linked in the show notes for you. It's a no-brainer. And most of you are at the point where you need to start looking into this. So that's the first thing. Also, I have been like a little busy worker bee. I've been really inspired lately. I've been digging into the research of what's like helping students get better results, helping you guys get better and better results. And so I've created 2 new things lately, little resources. They're low ticket that you might want to grab. One of them is called my Ultimate Niche Bundle. And so it's actually a mini course called Niche Secrets that teaches you how to use niches to be able to break out and get better visibility on Etsy, because majority of new Etsy sellers and a lot of my students when they first come to me are way too broad and general in what they're creating. And so the learning about the niches helps you get much more specific, and also it helps level up your SEO. And then with that, what I was really excited to create is called my niche cheat sheet. It's basically a matrix that helps you pick a product and then partner it with a niche and a trend to get a really hyper specific product opportunity. And I'm so excited about it because this little cheat sheet will give you over 35,000 product possibilities. And it's going to teach you how to combine product, niche, and trend. I'm really excited. It's ultra low ticket. It's $27. I'm just feeling a little crazy. Like I just want to get this in as many hands as possible. So grab that if you really want to dig into niches, and especially for that niche cheat sheet that you can use over and over again. I'm going to keep it updated as the trends change. Super excited. And then the other thing that you guys have actually been asking for is going to be a trend guide, and you'll automatically get that if you're in the Trend Spotting membership. It's going to be a free bonus. But if you're not in the membership and that's not really something you want to be in, you can purchase the trend guide, and it's going to tell you what each of the trends, the biggest, not like week to week, but the biggest trends that are happening right now on Etsy. And it's going to describe what they are, tell you the name of it, describe what they are, and then show you examples visually so you'll know how to apply them and how to use them, how they are showing up on the platform. So if either of those sound great to you, grab them, grab the free ads course. I hope that they're just really going to help, and keep the feedback coming to me of the things that you really want from me. Because it's sort of like, it's sort of like in marriage. As I say to my husband, I can't read your mind. You got to tell me what you want and I will help you with that. So let me know via email, via DM, wherever on the socials. But we got a bunch of great FAQs today. So let's get into that. And the first one this is really, really interesting. We've never talked about this before. The first one is an international sales question. So the listener says, my POD store is based in Australia. Do the same keywords and tags apply? I have Everbee and I'm doing the research you've mentioned in your podcast, but just wanted to check there's no other way to hone in on the Australian buyers. She also says, I want to get your $97 course, The 6-Figure Secrets, and I have the same question. Will what I learn apply the same way to my Aussie shop? And if so, I want to do it this week before I launch a bunch of new products to a different niche. There are a couple different ways that I want to approach this question because I think it's a phenomenal question and it's nuanced. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is Australia is the number 6 Etsy market in terms of like how much of the traffic on the site is from that country. So Australia sends about 2.7% of the monthly traffic to Etsy. That's pretty small. And like, if you think about number 6, isn't that far down the list? So just for reference, the United States is the largest market by far, sending 53% of the traffic. And then all of the other countries combined do the other 47%. So the number 2 largest traffic source is the UK at 9%. The UK sends 9. So there's 9% of the shoppers are coming from the UK each month. Number 3 is Germany, and 7% of the shoppers on Etsy are coming from Germany each month. Number 4 is Canada at 5% of the shoppers, and France is number 5 at 3.5%. So the first thing I want to say is sometimes my international people, if you're not selling to the United States, it can feel really slow and futile. And it's not to mean that you shouldn't do it. I've interviewed people on the podcast before that like just sell in the UK and have like full-time businesses, and that can work kind of depending on what you're selling. But if you're selling print on demand, absolutely sell to the United States, like for sure, because if not internationally, because like, shipping's not your problem. They're going to take care of it for you. But Printify allows you to sell in a whole bunch of different places through their rerouting feature. So you might have your shop set up for Australia, but you can turn on their rerouting feature and it's going to send whatever order comes in to the most efficient facility to where the buyer is. So if you're based in Australia, they're not going to print and ship something to me in Texas from Australia's Printify. They're going to find a location like here in the United States. And so shipping is going to be cheaper and it's less likely to get lost. It's just going to be a domestic shipping situation. So I'm going to link below. Printify has little like step-by-step instructions on how to make sure rerouting is set up. And there's some different choices that you can make on how you want to do that. But if you're going to do print on demand, there's no reason to not target the United States at 53% of the shoppers. It's just kind of like, that's what I really want you to do. Now, as far as SEO, if you're going to definitely sell internationally or to the United States, keep doing the research as you are. There's nothing special that you need to do. If you're going to focus on just selling in Australia, and this is for no matter what you guys sell, if you're just going to focus on one country, whether it's Australia or somewhere else specific, when you're doing your research on Etsy, rather than you want to add an extra filter, and you want to use the Etsy search filter for the location of where you're selling. Because then when you do your SEO research, all of the search results are going to be for your direct competition there. In case there's keywords relevant to that location, in case you want to be looking at that market. So you're using the best selling SEO for where you're trying to sell. But bottom line for everybody, you're very limited if you don't sell in the United States. Again, not a deal killer, but very limited. And to answer her other question, as far as my 6-figure secrets course, yes, it absolutely applies to international sellers because it's teaching the fundamental strategies that you need to get sales. It's teaching how the algorithm works, what SEO strategy needs to look at, your shop setup details, listing techniques, trends, ads, all of that stuff applies no matter where you're selling. And the only nuance is going to be, you're going to need to filter by location. And actually, this is such a great question. I'm going to record a little tutorial to go into 6-figure secrets that I'll put in there this week that shows how to do that for international sellers. I'll show you how to use that filter if you're just going to be selling in one location outside of the US to make sure that you're doing the best possible SEO research. So yeah, otherwise it's all the same. And then the legal part and the shipping part are two of the main things that would be a bit different based on your location. And legal is different no matter based on what state you're in. Or if you're in New York, it's even more detailed. It depends on what region of New York you're in. It gets really, really detailed. So if I were you for shipping especially, I would be seeing the Etsy seller handbook. If you're not in the United States, and it's not going to be exactly what I show you in the course. But that's a very, very small section of the course because I'm also teaching to print on demand and digital product sellers. So there's a little on shipping, but the Etsy seller handbook has the most detailed and helpful things for Etsy sellers. And then legal requires special research for everyone because you need to find resources and or an attorney that works in where you live specifically, or they have the license to practice law where you live. So yes, super, super helpful. 6-figure secrets. Yeah, it's only $97 if you use the coupon code SAVE50, and it's going to teach you so much. It's great for beginners or for people who aren't getting the kind of sales that they want yet, because it's just going to teach the fundamental strategy. Question number 2 says, "Hi Lizzie, I'm super crafty, artsy, and have ADHD, which means I have a ton of ideas, but I'm struggling to pick a clear product focus. Any advice for a creative brain that's a lot all over the place? Thank you so much." This is such a great question. So first things first, I highly recommend that you listen to my recent chat with my sister. We both have ADHD, and it's on how we operate as high achieving women with ADHD, and we present very differently from each other, and we use different tools. So that's episode 178, or I'll link Apple Podcasts in the show notes if you want to grab that. If you want to kind of hear a practical discussion about this. But just to mention this here, I know because our brains are neurodivergent, they work differently. We're always looking for a special hack. And I don't know, I think this is an ADHD thing as well. I overanalyze things a lot. I kind of cycle about things, searching for the solution. And I think I'm being really productive because I'm thinking about the solution, but I'm really just ruminating and chewing and chewing and chewing and not getting anywhere. It's like a dog chasing its tail. So I know we want a specific way around getting focused, and it can be uncomfortable, right? Trying to focus feels uncomfortable. But the bottom line is that we, no matter who we are, we have to discipline ourselves to pick something and execute. There's no other way to grow a successful business unless you pick something and execute. So I think for ADHD women, just like anyone else, it's literally a matter of forcing yourself to choose and knowing that you can struggle with the around and around and around, and learning how to redirect yourself into, okay, wait, this is what I'm doing. I made this decision. We're doing this thing. I'm coming back to this thing. And what I do is I look for ways to give my brain like little rewards that work for me. So for example, let's say you get 3 listings up for, you made a choice, I'm going to do this thing, you get 3 listings up. Then you let yourself scroll for 5 minutes and set a timer. Like maybe that's the way that you reward your brain, because you're not letting it like go work on something totally different or, do the squirrel thing. Or maybe you set a rule for yourself that if you create 15 listings for a particular niche or product, then you allow yourself to create the next 15 for a different one. So long as it's not like you can't in the same shop like sell sourdough starter and then you're selling like political print on demand t-shirts. You know what I mean? Like they need to be related. But for digital products and print on demand, like the niche can be more the product you're doing, t-shirts, mugs, whatever. And then you can have a lot of different niches. So those can be really, really good products for people who like to switch it up a lot. So in my digital product shop, I have everything from coloring pages to wall art to PNGs to Tumblr wraps. It's kind of all over the map. And the niche is that it's digital products. So I'm not getting as specific to be like, I'm making things for dog parents. I'm more broad than that and it's okay. So figure out what little dopamine hits help to relieve that scattered tension in your brain, and then use them as mini rewards, and just realize that there is no hack. You have to make yourself focus, but you can reward yourself for focusing, and you can use the tool of literally just awareness of, oh, my brain's just doing that thing where it wants to go do these other things, but I'm just going to be in charge of my brain and we're going to get back to this thing. Another resource, I love Tracy Otsuka's podcast, ADHD for Smartass Women. Pardon the language there, but that's literally the name of it. So I will link the Apple Podcasts for her. It's going to have a lot of resources and it's all science-backed strategy where I'm just like telling you what I do practically. I am not an expert at all. And she is. This is her life's work. So listen to that podcast for more. And then her book, which is the same name, ADHD for Smart ASS Women, is excellent as well. And I will link that for you guys. Question number 3. Hi, I just wanted to start by saying I really like your podcast. Thank you. On episode 25 started last week. My question for the new episode is how to maximize return on Etsy ads, and what's a normal percentage difference between the fees, like all fees including marketing, and gross revenue for a new shop. For example, my shop this month made 4 sales and $37 gross revenue, but between the listing fees and the Etsy ads, I'm only taking 13 home. I feel like 35% of the total is a bit low, because a big chunk of that was from Etsy ads, $14. I'd love to know how we can maximize Etsy ads or even SEO traffic so that we can take a bit more revenue. Thank you so much. Okay, and did she say what she was selling? I don't think she did. That would kind of be interesting. But anyway, for this one, I actually DM'd Hannah Gardner, who is like the Etsy ads expert, and she was on the podcast episode 174. It's called Are Etsy Ads Worth It? So that's a great one to check out if you want to hear some more on that. But she said, I sent her this exactly, and she said that's still a really great margin, but it's hard to know how to reference that as a seller if you're not watching all of the data, like the ROAS and all of the data. So for you, it's like literally the perfect example of like grab that free Etsy ads course that she's given us. It's linked in the show notes for you. And it's going to actually walk you through all of this visually so you can see. She's going to give examples. She's like, that's literally going to answer all of their questions. So you'll know what data to look for and what it means. And that's going to be great for you. But I thought it was interesting to hear her say, that's actually a really great margin. And I don't even know what you sell. So interesting. Number 4 is it illegal to use an AI mockup frame with my art print in it for my listing photo? How do I know if the mockup I have is AI? Such a great question. And like something we talked about a lot last year. So I'm glad we're circling back to it. So first of all, for digital products, the rules are extremely lenient. So AI mockups are just fine for a digital product. One of the reasons they're so lenient is because there's no way to have a literal picture of a digital product. Like you can't take out that digital product and take a picture of it. So super, super lenient. But also as a general rule, the thing with mockups for Etsy is that they just need to accurately represent the actual product. So like an AI, like let's say we have an AI shirt. And it's a white t-shirt. It looks very generic, but you're selling an AI or you're selling an actual like Comfort Colors white t-shirt. The picture of the AI white t-shirt may not look accurate. The color may be off. The texture may be off because Comfort Color shirts have that very vintage, thicker fabric. So the picture is not properly representing the actual product. On the other hand, you might have that same it's a gorgeous AI mock-up of let's say a white sweatshirt. And if you compare it to a picture of a Gildan crew neck, it looks exactly like it. Like it's spot on. There's no weird collar thing. So it's what's important is, does the mock-up accurately represent the picture? Etsy prefers original photography when possible, especially for handmade goods. But for digital products, print on demand, and personalized products, they literally say it's an exception, and mockups are acceptable so long as they accurately represent the product. And then the other rule they have is for personalized products. It's against Etsy's policies to use an image in that first thumbnail, like your main image that shows the base product with something like a "your design here" placeholder. We still see them all the time, but like those are not, like those will get you in trouble. They're against house rules. So pictures like that show like "your design here" can go in the later images, but the first one needs to be a photo of a real example of that product. And then as far as knowing if an image is AI, if you're buying it on Etsy, to be compliant, the seller is supposed to identify the product as AI generated, and that should show in the item's details. Like when we actually, so an AI mockup would be a digital product. And when you create a digital product listing, there's a place where you have to actually click yes or no whether it was the product created with the help of AI. And so it should show as a little thing under your item details. Of course, like many may not do that. We see bad actors all over the place. You could DM them and ask. I sometimes get DMs on my mockup shop asking if an image is AI or not. And of course, I answer accurately. I have like a mix in my mockup shop. Or you could really like look for and focus on, there's shops that they really advertise they're using real photography. And you can kind of see from the authenticity of the pictures. Like to me, I guess I do look at them all day, every day. But there's a pretty big difference usually between an AI mockup and a real photo. So I mean, these days the AI is pretty good. You're not necessarily seeing the extra fingers or any kind of issues. It's more like, does it look generic? A real photograph will look more authentic. But if you really didn't want to use AI mockups, you could just make sure and focus on purchasing from the shops that literally advertise like on their shop banner, only real photography, no AI. I'm going to link in the show notes the listing image requirements in case any of you want to dig more into what those specific rules are for mockups and stock images. It's like a very simple outline. I've highlighted it here, but if you want to look at their policy, it's linked for you. Number 6 says, does updating your listings give them a boost? So it depends. Just renewing your listing does not give them a boost. In fact, if you regularly go through and renew a bunch of listings to try to do that, the Etsy algorithm reads that as kind of spammy behavior, and they don't like it. It actually kind of downgrades your overall shop score in the algorithm. So don't be doing that. However, when your item is purchased and the listing is automatically renewed because of the purchase, it does give your listing a boost. So that's really cool. You'll sometimes notice you'll get a flurry of sales. So the first sale bumped you up in the algorithm in the search results, and then it was like an active buying time. And so you'll get kind of a few more quickly. But also if you change your primary image, the thumbnail image, or your SEO on a listing, it can give your listing a boost because either of those changes would funnel you back through the algorithm. They're going to reread your listing, and that could make your listing stronger if you had better images or SEO. But listen to this. This is so important. Pardon me. I put on lashes because I'm practicing for the wedding coming up for my sister. And I'm terrible at it because I've never done it and they're falling apart. That was for if you're watching on YouTube. But anyway, this is so important. Never change or update a listing that's performing well. Do not. Especially don't change the first picture or the SEO. If you want to test something different or you want to try a change, like maybe adding some seasonal SEO or a seasonal thumbnail, just make a copy of the listing, duplicate it and make changes on the copy and then list the second thing again. So you have more than one listing for the same thing. It's super important because I've seen people totally shoot their progress. They have a great listing and they lose their bestseller, what do you call it? Badge, your bestseller badge or their place in the algorithm because they changed something. So don't do that.
Are you brand new to Etsy, about to get started, or struggling a bit to find your groove? What I'm about to say is just for you, okay? I can completely relate to where you're at because I think I can help you achieve success faster. When I first started my Etsy shop, it was not one of those success stories that we hear on the big YouTube channels, even on this podcast, where I just had crazy success and it took off right away. All right. I all but failed for my first 6 months, just like a lot of new sellers. And so it's very relatable. And the issue for me was I didn't understand demand, for one. I didn't understand SEO. I was way too broad in my search terms. And I didn't know how to position my product so that customers just couldn't help but click add to cart. And so once I learned those things, I went from making about $25 a month in sales to $6,000 a month and up. And in the holidays, I would even have $13,000 months, like at my shop's peak. And the thing about me, if you've been here for a minute, you already know this. I'm a terrible gatekeeper, okay? When I figure something out, when I crack a code, when I get excited, I cannot help but tell everybody who wants to listen. It's like either my best asset or my toxic trait. I can't decide. But I put everything that you need to know to fill that beginner knowledge gap into a low ticket, just under 3 hours beginner course that I have called 6-Figure Secrets to Getting Started on Etsy. In it, I'm teaching you how to find what's in demand for your niche, how to find and use trends, how to start your shop if you're worried about that part, SEO strategy to find the micro niches where the opportunity is, how to understand the Etsy algorithm, and a ton more. The whole thing is bite-sized videos, not long form, just small bite-sized videos, zero fluff, and to the point. You could get the course today, go through the less than 3 hours over the next couple days, launch your shop this weekend, and have sales coming in as soon as Sunday. So let's get you the few missing pieces of the Etsy success puzzle, those little tweaks you need to make so you can start making the sales that you deserve, because I have never been more convinced that there is room at this table on Etsy for everyone. And the opportunity is so ripe right now. I am in the numbers, in the data every day, and my mind just keeps expanding on the possibilities, okay? So as a special treat, use the code SAVE50 to save $50 on the 6-Figure Secrets course today. That's $50 off with the coupon SAVE50. And by all means, DM me or shoot me an email when those sales start popping, because I want to celebrate with you.
Number 6, how to generate keywords from the latest Etsy trends. Does Chatgpt do a good job at creating keywords and long tail keywords? Thanks. Okay, so this is an excellent question that probably a ton of people have, and it's actually, the answer is so important. Never, ever, never, do not use Chatgpt to try and discover Etsy trends or good SEO. It's like, sounds like it would be so intuitive to do that, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but Chatgpt helps me with everything in my life, especially writing sales copy. Well, actually, I'll tell you here how I use it for Etsy specifically, but it's helping me a lot right now. But it's never going to be accurate to Etsy in that specific way because it's not integrated directly with Etsy. And also, the data in ChatGPT is on average about 2 years old, so it would be too dated. So to find the keywords for the latest trends, your best bet is to use an API integrated research tool. So like an Etsy keyword research tool, like Everbee is the one that I use. And you can then look at competitors and you can see the tags that they are using for their SEO. I look at the best-selling listings, the ones that have the bestseller badge and that use the trends. So like, for example, coquette trend is huge. Most of us know that. It's like all of the bows that are everywhere. If I wanted to find out really good coquette SEO, I'd probably type in like coquette shirt or whatever I was trying to make into Etsy, and I'd filter by bestseller with like the little workaround. And then I would use Everbee to look at the bestsellers, and I would look at their listing data, and I would scroll down to see the tags, and I would look for like tags that they were using that had coquette or bow or ribbon kind of keywords in there. And I would look for the ones that had some good searches and also like lower competition. So like definitely under, 30,000 competing listings or, in those tags. That's the best way to do this. You're going to see real time this month how many searches there are for those particular keywords. You're going to get to see a list of keywords that are relevant to you. You're going to see how competitive they are. I have on YouTube, I have an Everbee tutorial. I will link for you guys if you want to see how I'm doing this. And that can kind of help you get a sense of basically visually what I just talked you through, but definitely don't use any tool that's not integrated with Etsy. So like the only thing that I use ChatGPT for in my Etsy shop, there's a few things. I use it for customer responses sometimes. So it's really great at customer service. It'll reword things for me, especially if I'm tired. I'll I need a really friendly, respectful response that addresses these things and I can bullet point it, and it'll reword it and make it sound so good and professional. The other thing I like to use ChatGPT for my shop is the first 1 to 3 sentences of my listing description. I like those places to really create a brand for me. So they have a certain brand tone. And then that's also where I bring in my SEO. So I'll tell ChatGPT, please write a listing description for my new, raccoon PNG. I want it to include the keywords, cute raccoon, and, comma, what's another really good one? Oh, feral girl, comma, funny raccoon meme, like whatever it would be, those like, and describe this raccoon's PNG. And then ChatGPT will spit out that, like 1 to 2 sentences. It'll sound so great. And I can just copy and paste that in the top of my listing. So I've got my SEO in my listing now, description, but it also sounds really good and creates a brand feeling. I also will sometimes suggest using ChatGPT for an about section where you can kind of like give it some details about yourself in bullet point form. It'll make a really nice about section. You can use it in your welcome message, although those shouldn't be too long, or like the announcement part of your shop. And then the other thing I use it for a ton in my Etsy shop is for prompts. So we talked about this a lot in the coloring pages workshop that I did recently, where I will do research and find the perfect style of prompt for a certain coloring page. And then I will put it into ChatGPT and say, like, please rewrite this prompt for 20 other scenarios. Like let's say I was doing a Christmas coloring book and I got the perfect prompt to do, like, let's say coquette Christmas, to stay with that keyword. Please write 20 more prompts for coloring pages related to coquette Christmas. Use characters like reindeer, vintage Santa, elves, like, whatever I want to do. And then it'll give me like the exact same style prompt. So that's another way that I love to use it. Was there anything else I wanted to say on that? Another way, I think I'm going to talk about this here soon, but for, if you also want to see some of the ways that I use, like I look for trends on Etsy, literally, you could join the trend spotting membership for 1 month. You would get access to every trend report since last September, plus over 155 product ideas with the SEO. But in those, you're going to be able to watch the tutorial for how I found it and what it includes and how to look at the SEO. So that would be a really great way to see how I do it real time. Like, or you just, that's optional. You could just go to the Everbee YouTube video tutorial and learn a lot there. Okay, number 7, they say, I get lots of comments and reviews about the freebies I include with my Etsy orders, and I love doing it. Are freebies common in the wholesale world? I'm about to branch out into fair and have been wondering about that. Oh my gosh, I love this question. This is a spectacular idea, especially for wholesaling. So if you throw in samples of related products that the buyer might like too, like who doesn't love a freebie? Like, it builds goodwill. It kind of makes you just seem like such the cool, nice girl. It builds trust, but also it like puts them in their hands. They can taste it. They can see it in like 3-dimensional reality on a new product that might expand your relationship with them. So this is what we call an upsell in the e-commerce world. That is the most like charming way to upsell that there is. Rather than emailing them, be like, hey, would you like to add this as well? Like, throw it in for free and then let them tell you, hey, I loved this. Thanks for this. It just kind of like gives people a little dopamine hit. Like, oh, look at this freebie. So that's completely brilliant. Yes, yes, yes. Do it. And then for everyone else, like if you're selling to just consumers, I think freebies are great. It's a way to delight your customers. It makes them think of you the next time they want a product like yours. And then I actually think for me, it's a really strong 5-star review strategy. So when you add a little freebie, like one-on-one customers, I don't think it drives a ton more business, although it can have that effect, but it creates such a wonderful unboxing experience that you're more likely to have them take the time out of their day to go leave you a really nice review. Or it kind of can, I don't know, how do I say this? Like, if there's something about the order that they're not like as ecstatic about, they're less likely to kind of gripe or be mad about it because they kind of feel like, oh, they were so kind in sending this other thing. So it's a great, great strategy. Number 8, we are told by numerous YouTubers to use Everbee or eRank. I use both. If you review the numbers of a specific search, the numbers are in some cases wildly different. It is discouraging. What do you recommend? Because it's really confusing me. I get this question like emailed and DM'd all the time. I'm so glad you asked this. It's a really, really great question. And believe me, for ages, I sat there and thought the exact same thing. Like, this is brilliant. So here's the deal. Etsy does not publish the data of how many searches there are for things. Okay. So yes, Everbee and eRank and all the others are connected to Etsy through API, which just means that Etsy will work with other developers like these keyword research tools. They will approve certain companies like these and allow them to kind of integrate into the back end so that they can see data about your Etsy shop, but also be able to provide data to us. But these companies are having to use their own algorithms in order to come up with, for example, how many searches there are for a particular item. So just because they're connected by API, Etsy is not feeding them the data like through, analytics of here's how many searches there are for coquette headband. They're having to guess that based on just activity on the platform. And that's why sometimes you can see wildly different numbers. It was the same thing when I was using both Everbee and Sales Samurai. In that case, I found like Everbee's tool became so much more user-friendly and so much more accurate over Sales Samurai that I stopped using the Sales Samurai altogether. But Everbee and eRank are both highly, highly respected. I use Everbee much more. But sometimes I'll use eRank because they have kind of they both have some different data. So that's why. And I know that is frustrating. I wish there was like a way for us to get especially if you're like a really science, like database person, which I can be like that too at times. You're like, why can't someone just tell me what it is? So the bottom line is they have to guess. They have to do their best to guess. And I will tell you, no matter how you slice it, it's better to use a tool and have some data that's maybe not perfect than to not use a tool at all and really be running blind, because then you're just looking at Etsy. Like, this is before we had these tools, we had to just look at the best sellers on Etsy and look at their titles. And like what I did was I'd look at 3 to 5. I still use this a little bit, but I use Everbee much more now. 3 to 5 best-selling listings on Etsy, and I would like copy and paste their titles into a Word document. And then I would grab the keyword phrases out of those titles and combine them into a whole new mix from those 5 different listings, like from the keywords that were relevant to what I was creating. And that's how I wrote my SEO. That can work a little bit, but it's so much more helpful now to be able to use a strategy where you can combine low competition, mid competition, and high competition keywords all together. And you can't do that unless you have some kind of an idea of how many searches there are. So I hope that helps you. It's an amazing question. It's not the perfect answer, but at least like that's what's happening. Number 9, I have a week-long vacation on the calendar this summer. Will putting my shop into vacation mode tank the success I've had up till now? Getting conflicting info, looking for answers online. Great question. Okay, so first of all, I use vacation mode all the time in a physical product shop, and it does not tank you. It will take a little bit of time. So it depends on how long. There was once when my shop was on vacation mode for 4 months. It was in 2020 when we literally got stranded in Wisconsin for 4 months because our car transmission died on the way up there. And we couldn't get a new one because the Ford factories were all making ventilators. So we were stuck up there for 4 months. It was supposed to just be 6 weeks. The longer your shop is on vacation mode, the more you kind of fall out of the algorithm. A week is pretty short. You do though, so it's like totally fine. It's all about just having reasonable expectations. It may take some time for you to get back up in the algorithm. I can't guess for you how long it would be, but it wouldn't take anything. It's perfectly fine to do. Something you can do though is when you come back, you could turn on some Etsy ads, especially like definitely do it if you're already doing it. Or and again, this would only be for a shop that already had proof of concept. If they're talking about they're having success, they already have proof of concept. So you could turn on the Etsy ads. Or if you're not using them at all, that would be a good time to turn them on to get kind of kicked back up in the algorithm. The other thing that I typically did for a week long is, and this is totally optional. I wouldn't stress about vacation mode. Just go into it knowing, okay, it's going to take me a few weeks to get back to the level that I was at. But you can just push out your turnaround time. So what I typically did was for a week is I would just double my turnaround time, knowing I wasn't going to touch anything until I got back. And then the only thing I did on vacation was DM the people, the buyers, thanking them for their purchase and like letting them know when they can expect it, which was something in the sign business that I usually did because since we were making everything by hand custom, I couldn't turn it around within 24 hours. It was always going to be like 5 to 7 days. So I'd always say like, thank you so much for your purchase. We're so excited to make this special piece for you. You can expect this to ship, within 5 to 7 days of business days of your order, yada, yada. And so you could do that and then just say, you can expect this to ship, maybe it's like 2 weeks. So that's one way to go about it. So I wouldn't discourage you from vacation mode. That's usually what I did for like a week or a weekend, was to push out the date. But for a week, so like if you were going to be off for a month, again, I'd say still do it. Like don't put your life on hold for this, but expect that it could take up to a month to get back to where you were. And it's just, having the expectations. Yeah, I'm also going to throw in there, like something else you could do is have maybe like, I don't know what you sell, so it would depend. Have some new listings ready so that when you turn it off of vacation mode, you immediately post new listings. And that can kind of help boost you as well. Like that activity would be good. So you have them created in advance, so you're not having to do a bunch of work right when you get back, but it's a way to kind of stimulate sales as well. Number 10 says, how do you tweak your keyword research for a handmade niche like pottery, where most listings are for a single unique item, so there's less likely to be best seller listings? Great, 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 great question. So for one-of-a-kind products like handmade, like you're mentioning, or vintage products, focus instead on studying the shops that have thousands of reviews because they know the game. So rather than going and filtering by bestseller to do your keyword research, instead, go in. I mean, you could still do that, but like you said, a lot of times they won't have bestsellers. Go in and do just a search on Etsy so it would be, in your example, it would be like pottery candle holder. Go and search, and then as you're looking down at the search results, look for the ones. So in the parentheses next to the listing title, it'll have a number, and that's how many reviews that the shop has. So if it has at least 1,000 reviews, it's done really well on Etsy, and they know the game, and it should obviously be someone selling something similar to what you're looking at. So rather than filtering by bestseller, look at those shops that have tons of reviews. Then you're going to use a tool like Everbee to look at their listings. So like go into that shop and look at their listings, and you can then when you use Everbee, you can see how long the listing's been up and how well performing it's been, assuming they sell more than one. But you can also even just skip that data about the listing and scroll down and look at the keywords, because really the SEO research isn't even about it like there being a bestseller filter. That's just a way to kind of hone in on the ones that are flying off the shelves for some shops. You go down and look at the listings, and then that's where you can find your SEO is in the tags. So what you want a mixture of low, medium, and high competition keywords on your listing. And you can look at any listing on Etsy with Everbee and see that. You may have to look at several, because sometimes those OG shops, they just have such a great reputation, the algorithm, that anytime they post something, it kind of goes to the top. So you'll look and all of their keywords are high competition keywords. And so that's either they're really, really OG and they do a really great job. More often than not, though, even than that, they're sending their own traffic to Etsy through social media. So just look at several listings until you find some that have some keywords that are in the green, some keywords that are in the yellow and in the red, and then study several listings and go about it that way. So I hope that helps. I think that's such a great question. So that just kind of demystifies it, though. It's actually not about the bestseller filter. That just helps us narrow down on products that are selling really well and concepts that are selling really well. Number 11 is, how can you find what type of digital products are in high demand and low offer? I think they meant low competition. I'm trying really hard searching for that, but every time I get into a rabbit hole of bestsellers, so I don't know exactly which ones I'm supposed to pay attention to. This is actually a great question to piggyback on the last one. It really is going to come down to the SEO. So I teach you guys to filter by bestseller because it just makes our work faster. I'm always looking for hacks and ways to do things faster. It hones our research down. It focuses it in. But it actually doesn't really matter if it's a bestseller or not. What we're looking for is the keywords, the SEO. So all you need to be doing is looking at the keywords for those listings, and the ones you want to focus on are the ones that are going to give you some low competition in the green, middle competition in the yellow, high competition in the red. And even in my own trend report, sometimes I pull the SEO I'm going to use for a new listing or for a product suggestion for the members from 5 different listings. So it's not even, so you can do it the way with the bestseller. Like you said, you get in the rabbit hole of bestsellers. Here's what I do. Another way that filter by bestseller, and then I look for shops that are newer or slower growing. So I look again at how many reviews they have right next to the title in the parentheses. I look for under 500 reviews. And those are typically the ones, I've got my list of bestsellers. I'm looking for the new ones, the ones with fewer reviews, because again, I'm kind of honing in on if they are newer or they're slower growing and they have a bestseller badge on this product, they ranked for it as a new shop, which means I'm more likely to than they are. I am more likely to go into that listing and look at their SEO and find good low competition keywords. So I hope that helps. And if you want to see that visually, again, this is kind of another plug for the Trend Spotting membership, because it's going to show you exactly how I do that. And there's going to be over 160 now examples of me doing that for different products, where we're going to go in, you can look at the trend report. We're going to go in, we're going to filter by bestseller, and then we're going to go look at the trends. And then you're going to see in the product opportunities, you're going to see how I pick the SEO by the ranking. And I talk through it. some great tutorials. So you could kind of see, literally you could spend $17, use the code KEEP20, spend $17, stay in for just a month. It doesn't bother me a bit if you guys get what you need in that amount of time. Go in, learn, like this is your trend month. I'm going to learn. You can even come to the coaching call. You're going to get the free access to the trend guide I just made, and you can see how I do this. But I totally understand you're feeling like kind of squirrel brained. That's like the most relatable thing ever. Filter by bestseller, look for the new shops. That's kind of a way you can get really focused, but don't get too wrapped around the axle about it. All we're really looking for is SEO that is low, mid, and high competition, because you want a mix on your listing.
Are you a print-on-demand or digital product Etsy seller who's tight on time or still learning all of the Etsy secrets? I totally remember the days of having no idea what product to create next before I learned how to make those informed decisions so I can really identify with where you're at. I know how stressful and frustrating it can be to just create listing after listing and see little to no results. You wonder what you're doing wrong, and you just want someone to tell you what to create that's actually going to sell. Where are those opportunities? So let me give you a leg up with my weekly trends and opportunities report. You just join my membership, and every Monday, I'm going to send you an email with a list of exactly what is trending right now, with a video tutorial showing you how I found those trends and how to apply them in your shop. We're taking guesswork and extensive time off of your table. I'm also going to send you 5 print-on-demand and digital product opportunities that are growing in demand right now, helping new shops make sales and still have very low saturation in the marketplace. So your tight schedule, your newbie status doesn't have to hold you back anymore. I'm going to help you earn while you learn. You can grab my free demo to start and see an example of what the weekly trends and opportunities email looks like right from the show notes. See what you're going to get, and I will see you on the inside soon.
Number 12 says, gosh, I feel like I'll talk about that for hours. Number 12 is how to print reports that have customer information, especially email addresses to follow up. I have had to contact a customer about something and try to contact via Etsy chat and don't get a response. So what do you do? And they're a physical product shop. Okay, so you can download a report for your orders, but it won't have their email on it because Etsy protects that data like crazy. I'm going to help you though. So just in case, so for people who do want to print a report, it'll have everything else. It'll have their address, their name, it'll have the information. And I'm going to link, there's like a place in the Etsy seller handbook that shows you like this step by step if you want this visually, but I'll talk you through it real quick. But I look in the show notes for the link to, it'll say how to download Etsy order data, and it'll show you. But here's basically what we do. You go to your shop manager, in your dashboard. You're going to go to settings and then options. There's going to be tabs there under options, and you're going to click the download data tab. And then there's a few options on that page. So scroll down to where there's the orders. So, because it'll give you different data that you can download. It's also a great thing to do this periodically, like once a quarter, just in case you were to get a shop suspension, to download all of your listing data. I'm going down a rabbit hole, but anyway, this is a great tool for lots of things. So when you get to the order section, you can use the drop-down menu to select the month and the year that you want your orders from. And that's where you can download the data and get like an Excel spreadsheet of your current orders. Again, though, it's not going to have the email. So if you need a customer email address, and I do the same thing as you, if I can't reach someone by Etsy Messenger, I will send them an email. So to find the email address, you need to navigate to your dashboard and go to the order that you're referencing. There's going to be like the buyer's name in the upper left-hand corner of the order. And there'll be it's really small, a little down arrow right next to the buyer's name. And oh my gosh, there is a bug on my microphone. Okay, hold on. Woo, nope, I don't know what you are, but go away. Oh my gosh, I'm not like bug crazy, but that was bananas. It was green. Blah. Okay, so sorry, you guys. Thanks for loving me with all of my quirks. So click the little drop-down arrow, or a little drop-down menu is going to show up when you click that down arrow next to their name, and their email will be in that list in the drop-down menu. And that's where you've got to go grab the email address to be able to email them. I will also add, because I love you guys, be careful about only using a customer's email address during the transaction and about the transaction, unless you get written permission to contact them outside of the transaction, or they join your email list or whatever. You want to be really careful about that because Etsy's very strict on emailing them for any inappropriate reason. Number 13. This one is a bit of a doozy, but I'm a longtime follower of yours and quite curious to hear your thoughts. As someone who has done almost all the things, handmade, print on demand, digital, did you ever struggle with scaling each of them? I adore my handmade Etsy shop and my products, and don't see myself ever outsourcing any part of that process. That being said, though, I'm now lost as to what I'm expecting of myself in scalability. I'm approaching 4,000 sales on Etsy. I'm loving what I'm making, but I wonder if there's any more growth from here when it comes to scaling. Like, do I try to maximize profitability now? I'm somewhat maxing out of my time and energy already, so I can keep pushing selling things, but feel like I'm getting close to hitting the ceiling as far as what I'm capable of creating and getting orders out. Am I forever stuck if I can't allow myself to outsource any of my handmade process? I know you've talked about how much time and effort your handmade sign shop took, and I'm interested to hear your experience with it and if you ever felt like you were hitting a ceiling. I hope that makes sense. Feel free to paraphrase if needed. Thanks, Lizzie. I couldn't paraphrase you. You were too good. It's too good. Okay, so we're besties now because this is the most relatable thing I've ever heard. My Etsy shop, my handmade sign shop, was extremely demanding. So we built them, painted them, lettered them, packaged them, boxed them, shipped them. It was so much work. And we often were working up until like 11 or 12 at night. We were making great money, but margins aren't spectacular. And what happened is a lot of my competition had moved to using a printer. And so we hemmed and hawed for a few years on buying a $60,000 printer to be able to go much faster and print on the signs rather than me painting them. Because again, you're like looking for ways to get more efficient as you go. A couple things happened. So like these are always personal stories, right? A couple things happened. The first thing that happened was I noticed that for me, I was in the farmhouse niche. So we're talking, it's still somewhat of a thing, but we're talking like a white or creamy white background sign with black lettering or brown lettering. Thank you, Joanna Gaines, for the farmhouse. But I was noticing that in the next couple of years, it was going to start phasing out. Now, buying a printer could mean I could expand into other kinds of designs. There was a lot I could have done with that, but I just kept hemming and hawing about it. And what was amazing was the shoppers didn't seem to care if it was painted or like very few. They were just as happy to buy it. It was all about the product photography. It was a really interesting thing. The same thing happened for me with like reclaim wood versus new wood. I was so shocked that people kind of didn't care too much. And then the clincher for me was, like you said, like we were working so many hours. I was at capacity. I was hitting the ceiling, just like you said. And then I was trying to get pregnant with our second child and had to think about, can I continue with what my lifestyle is about to be? Can I continue this? And the answer was a resounding no. And I'm a person of faith. I talk to God all the time, and literally God spoke to me one day and said, close your Etsy shop this week. It was Thanksgiving week of 2021. My business was making more than my husband's sales job. This was crazy, but in a way I was so relieved. And so that was actually what prompted me to dig deeper into this podcast. I had started it about 2 to 3 months beforehand, and I didn't even realize this was going to happen. I thought I was going to help handmade sellers, but because of the podcast, I met, was it Jenny? Jenny from the shop was the first print on demand person. Back in the day, Anastasia, she's not even in the business anymore, taught me about digital products. I didn't even know these things existed. So I ended up pivoting to print on demand, and now I love digital products. It's the absolute best. That was kind of my story. And I really didn't think it was going to be sustainable going forward. I will say Aunt Robbie, who moved here, and now we're working on another physical product shop. It has been slow going, mostly because I don't have a ton of time to be helping figure out the perfect product. Robbie moved here to help. She was actually going to help with the sign shop. We were going to get a printer and do all of those things. And it just wasn't the right fit for us. So it was a very personal decision. But there were ways that I could have scaled. But, you almost sound like me kind of being like, I don't know that I want to outsource this. And so here's the bottom line. If you want to get some time back and you want to be able to scale, just like any business, you have to delegate tasks. Now, whether that is just a piece of it, you get a production partner who's making a part of it. You get employees who are taking something off of your plate. You have to have a leverage point to take some of it all. Like there's just no other way. And I know you're just analyzing and hemming and hawing. I get it. I really do. So you either have to find a way to hand something off, or you have to kind of diversify and expand. So I don't know what you sell, but like April Kerr on episode 97 and then Bree Dudley on episode 148 are great examples of, they're in the massive crochet niche, which there is so much demand for handmade crocheted items. Same with embroidery and quilting and these other things you can do with machines or by hand. But they both moved more into they were so hard into their niche, but they moved into making tutorials or selling patterns. So that was something else in the sign business that I could have done, is I could have moved into selling stencils. I could have moved into selling. I could have pivoted it to print on demand wall art. I could have moved to some like digital wall art. I chose not to, but that would be one thing, is to like diversify and expand on what you're already making. Also, that just kind of reduces what you have to output physical product wise. Or you have to be happy with the current results and just be like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I have to be happy doing. And I mean, I wish I could just pull out a magic wand for you and fix it. But yeah, you're brilliant. You're so smart. Your brain is already there. And these are the things that you have to choose from. So hopefully that helps you not have to overanalyze it anymore. The other thing I will say about like being happy with your current results, just like you're doing, continue to stay on top of innovation, because if you want to maintain your current place, not necessarily scale, but maintain, if we don't evolve our businesses, it eventually fizzles from changing trends, from, new competitors, whatever it may be. So I hope that helps. Those are kind of the choices. Kind of like write them down if that helps you, and pick from there. 2 more questions. Number 14 is, what kind of warnings or disclaimers do I need when selling beads or beading kits? And they say choking, not intended for children, etc. So this could be applicable to so many different people. Even the signs that were so heavy, I'm just like, oh my gosh, if someone hangs this over a crib, or, if you're selling toys, or like there's a lot of stuff around pajamas and for kids and things like that. So this is so nuanced and specific. I don't want to evade the question at all, but I genuinely don't know the answer. I did a little bit of searching, and everything online like screamed at me to direct you to a legal professional, because this is such a big, scary thing. I tend to err on the side of extreme caution when it comes to legal matters. I'd rather be careful and overdo it and put the precautions in place than be sorry later. It's so funny. Like recently, I would say 2 years ago now, I bought this. This is only a little bit related. I bought this bath seat on Amazon for my son, and it looked just like one that we had for my sister, who, P.S., is now 33, 34. I can never keep it right. I don't even know my own age. No, she's got to be 34. I don't even know. I'm sorry, Caroline, if you're listening. I doubt it, but I'm sorry. It was a long time ago is the point. And I bought this seat being like, oh my gosh, this was perfect for my sister. I'm going to get one. And I thought it was interesting, there weren't disclaimers on it. And just recently there was a recall. Like literally Amazon wanted me to submit something proving I had destroyed the chair and thrown it away because I think probably something terrible happened. You just don't want to mess with it. And so I don't want to avoid your question, but I want to make sure you get really, really good advice and check with a legal professional. You could do that in a really simple, it doesn't have to be this big thing. Like you could do a 30-minute consult. They're probably gonna be able to help you with some other things as well, like disclaimers that you want to have in your shop. I will link for you guys. I have common legal resources, like things that every shop should have in their policies to protect them. I have a link to, and a really good coupon code for Paige Holz's LLC, what is it called? Oh, operating agreement. That's what I was trying to think of. There's some great things that most shops need to have, because Attorney Paige Holz, if you haven't listened to any of the legal episodes, which I don't blame you because that would terrify me as well, but she breaks it down really well. Even though Etsy allows you to sign up as a sole proprietor with just your social security number, she strongly urges Etsy sellers to form an LLC so that if anything does happen legally, you can protect your personal assets from the business. So you would need, you don't have to talk to an attorney, you just need an LLC operating agreement. She has a great one for Etsy sellers because she used to be an Etsy seller. So I'm going to link that for you guys. It'll have like provisions that you want to put in your Etsy shop, but it doesn't cover disclaimers. Like that's one where you'd want to actually get on Paige's schedule or an attorney who practices in your jurisdiction. And they might do a free consult with you up front, but you want to ask for the disclaimers from them because that's too important to try to guess at. And then number 15 says, who do you suggest for learning more about design? Any trusted courses or content creators for those of us who've never formally learned design and it doesn't come naturally? This was so me as well. This is the most relatable question because I'm still not the best. I'm getting a lot better, but I took, Heather Studio has a design lab. And it is outstanding. It's not specific as much to AI, like the stuff that I teach in the AI workshops, which would be great if you wanted to go that route. But I recommend you look at Heather Studio's Design Lab. That really helped me when I was doing print on demand, especially, although it could be used in digital as well. But that helped me get bestsellers. So that is who I would suggest for that. I'm debating maybe like a design workshop of some point, some kind down the road. But for now, I'm sending everyone to Heather until I come up with a really good way to teach it, because she's already really great at that. So that really helped me. Highly recommend Heather Studio, and that'll be linked in the show notes under Heather's Design Lab for you to grab. And you guys, we have officially covered all of them. So thank you so much. If you are still here, like pat on the back. Your focus is tremendous. But wow, this was such an interesting episode. There were so many topics we haven't covered before. I feel like we're all growing up together. Like it's getting more sophisticated, more interesting. I appreciate you so much. Like, thank you for being here. Thank you for your ongoing support. Thank you for everything. I love y'all so much. A lot of you have been asking me, I guess this is like the last question that I have gotten that I hadn't put on the list to answer, but am I going to be bringing back one-on-one coaching? Am I going to be bringing back shop audits? And I have a solution for that. So you're only getting to hear this. I actually wanted to weed out a lot of listeners because I want this to be a very slow burn, not get overwhelmed. So you're getting this like bonus because you're here at the end. So I am opening up a Lizzie's coaching group in school. So it won't be on Facebook. It'll be in school where we will have a private membership. It will be a one-time fee to join and get lifetime access. And in there, you will be able to ask questions. I have a team of trained sellers. I will be in there answering questions as well, but they will be answering like all of them. I'm not going to be able to answer every single one, but they will bring anything to me or tag me if I need to actually opine on something. But you will get answers to any questions you have. They'll be able to peek at your shops if you want. And so that is going to be like, that's like brand new. I am excited because I know you've been wanting it. If I open up things like audits and coaching calls, it will be in there first. So people who've paid like the one-time fee to be in there for lifetime access, I will open up stuff there first. I will always do a monthly group coaching call with you. So you will have access to me live to be able to look at things monthly. And then every single day, someone will be in there answering questions, getting you fast answers. Anything we can do to support you, it will be in there. So I can't believe I wasn't planning on saying that. I'm almost like feeling a little flush announcing it, but you only get it if you stayed over an hour hearing me ramble on. So great to be with you. I'm so excited to see who the first people are other than my coaches in that group. I've assembled a really, really amazing team of people to help answer those questions alongside me. We're going to build amazing community and we are just going to get tight and keep growing together. So y'all are my OGs. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. And I hope you are having the most amazing week. I love you to the ends of the earth and beyond. You mean the world to me. I hope this is so helpful. And until next week, go make something awesome. Bye, guys.
And that's a wrap on this episode of How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're looking for more resources, head on over to howtosellyourstuff.com where you'll find podcast show notes, all the links from today's episode, the blog, courses, coaching, and more. If this episode was helpful to you, awesome. The greatest compliment I can receive from you is a rate, review, and subscribe on this podcast. Not only will it allow us to connect again on a future episode, it lets me know I'm providing you with value and helps other people find this content more easily. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support. Have a great day and see you next time.